Fashion Revolution is a non-profit global movement campaigning for sustainable fashion, and the Fashion Revolution Week happens every year between the 20th to the 26th of April. It's the highest momentum of the movement, and it's on the anniversary of the Rana Plaza factory collapse, which killed about 1,138 people in Bangladesh in 2013 and injured many more than this. So we all believe that no one should ever die for our clothes, and the whole industry should be respecting workers and the environment. So the campaign works in many ways. You can find more about it on fashionrevolution.org. So we asked who made our clothes to pressure brands to be more transparent about their supply chain. And also this year, there's a new focus about what's in my clothes. Most often we don't really know what our clothes are made of, and it's usually plastic. So it would be really good if everyone could use their consumer power right now, especially in this pandemic. We have so much time to be curious about what we wear and research about where things are made. So we can really use this power right now. And I think the pandemic really exposed all the flaws of the fashion industry even more. And the most vulnerable are the ones paying for it right now while we're comfortable at home. Today, our Q&A is mostly for students. We have 3 textile graduates from GSA. And not long time ago, we were graduates as well, and we were final year students. So we know everything about the mental breakdowns, the stress that comes with graduating. We can't imagine how more difficult it is for the students this year. So we're not experts, but we want to somehow bring some support for all of those who are at home. And I don't know what's going to happen with graduation and the degree show and everything, but maybe if it feels better to ask questions from ex-graduates to know how we dealt with this post-graduation life, maybe can help, maybe not, but it's a safe space today, so feel free to drop any questions in the chat below. So I'll be chairing the panel today. Myself, I graduated last year in textiles. I've been a volunteer for Fashion Revolution for a few years now. And in the past, I've also volunteered with the Riyadh Society at GSA. And currently I'm stuck in India working as a textile designer. So yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Christina Wong Textiles. And then we have Jillian. Jillian, you can unmute now.
Hi, everyone. Hi, I'm Jillian. I graduated last year, same year as Christina, specialized in weave. I took a different sort of career path after graduating, as what I do now is not focused on textiles, but still sort of in the design industry. So since graduating, I worked as a creative marketing assistant, and then now I'm currently doing an internship with WGSN, but I am working from home. So I'm here in Haywards Heath, outside of London.
So we have MJ who's gonna come in a minute. I think he's connecting. But also a big hello to Kat from Kai's Studio. She couldn't make it today, but please check her on Instagram at Kai_studio. She's an amazing designer, and it's inspiring how she addresses sustainability in her practice. So hopefully we'll have maybe another event sometime with her. And where's MJ? Hello? Still can't hear you, MJ. Hello? No. 1 second. Hello, MJ.
Hi, I'm here now. Oh my God, I'm in.
Hey, welcome. We've done a short introduction, so if you want to just say a few lines about yourself, like what you've been doing since GSA.
Okay, so hi everyone. I'm so sorry, I'm a little bit late, but as I said, I'm not really big fan of technology, and clearly you could see right now, it took me a while to log in. So yeah, my name is MJ. I graduated from Glasgow School of Art. I think that was like 3 years ago almost. Yeah, it sounds like a while, but yeah, it was 3 years ago. I graduated from embroidery, and yeah, and 3 years after, I'm here in London. I moved from Glasgow to London, working for a company producing multifunctional furniture. Yeah, so from a textile to a product design, but I'm working very close with textile as well. So yeah, that's me.
So we have a few questions ready that we'll go through, and in the meantime,
Okay.
just feel free to drop any questions in the chat, and then we'll just take them as we go. So
Okay.
yeah, so MJ, what is the best advice you think you can give to a young graduate starting their career this year?
Oh well, listen. I mean, like the best advice. I mean, for me, don't be discouraged. I mean, everything will come with the own time. But what is more important? Use your knowledge and use your experience you gained in university. Your practice, everything you learned to reach out to your potential employer. You know what? Don't abandon any even small opportunity given, because you never know what that can become, what that may change in your life. Be yourself and follow your design ethos, whatever it is, whatever you're into. I think experience in the industry is crucial. So experience as much as you can, and don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to just like go for it. You know what? Try as much as you can, and practice, because that works for us as an artist, as a designers. We are getting better with the time, like a good wine. So yeah, practice, and don't be afraid.
How about you, Julianne? Because you've taken a different route to textile. So what would be your advice to everyone out there?
I think it's looking for different opportunities that you might not sort of realize are still creative or expect to do. So like how I got into creative marketing was kind of, I want to say by chance and lucky. I mean, so I graduated, like everyone, and I felt a bit lost, like what am I going to do? I can't see any jobs related to sort of woven textiles specifically, but I knew that I had to get experience and try and use my skills in a different way. So I found an opportunity through Adopt an Intern, and basically it was a placement for a creative marketing assistant for a project in Scotland. And it just really opened my eyes to the other opportunities that I could use my skills in. So I think the biggest advice I'd give someone is to be adaptable and like take those risks, because you never know where it might lead you. So like I'm still trying to figure out what path I'm going to take, but for now I feel pretty happy and secure with this one. Like I'm really fortunate that I can work from home at the moment. So it's just trying to find something that, you know, works for you and you can be creative in as well.
Yeah, I'll just add on to that. And what I usually tell my friends is that we need to knock at 100 doors to even get a tiny window open. I mean, the industry is not the friendliest industry right now, and especially if you want to get like a job in sustainability, it's even harder at times. And like so many companies just want free internships, so it is very difficult. But sometimes we need to send 100 emails to even get response from one. So yeah, don't give up for the years coming as well. In what ways do you explore sustainability in your current role? MJ. I've seen that you've interned also in Italy before, and you interned for John Lewis. Did you see like you had the freedom to explore sustainability in these different roles?
Actually, John Lewis, that was my job. So during my university, I was also working in John Lewis as a home design stylist. So 5 days a week I was in a university, and 2 days a week I was actually in John Lewis working to pay my bills. So generally speaking, to say like sustainability, it was always a big part of my life. And whatever I was doing, like over my design approach, I incorporating the circular economy model within all of the processes. Or most of the processes I done in a university, and there was also part of my. I try to get as much as possible from John Lewis as well. John Lewis is a big retailer, big wholesaler of different products. So one of my projects, which I comes up with because I was working in John Lewis, I was based my product on the mattresses. Why on the mattresses? Because mattress it has a lot of different things in it. It has fiber, it has springs, it has different materials, and etc. So I really wanted to explore that. So because of that, John Lewis gave me free hands and access to the recycle service because they provide this wonderful recycle service for the mattresses. So I was just like I based one of my projects of recycled mattresses. So I try to get as much as possible from them. Probably you've seen in my graduate collection, there was a lot of springs because of the mattresses. There was a lot of foam because of recycled memory foam. So I learned a lot in terms of sustainability from the John Lewis. It's a huge corporation, but they are still helping to any way they can to recycle. So yeah, I was quite happy I could do this. So yeah, and I often use like recycled scraps and materials to, as I said before, to anything I was doing. And for example, when speaking about my current role, working as a creative showroom manager, so I'm working for one of the most recognizable producer of multifunctional furniture in London, and I'm also responsible in there to dealing with the factories and with fabric houses, because my approach for sustainability, I'm always want to make sure what we are using, what materials we use in our production. So I'm directly dealing with my British textile producer, making sure fabrics used are environmentally friendly, naturally fire retardant, so we don't have to use any other treatment, back coatings to use chemicals, recycled wool, recycled leather. This is something what is constantly in my mind when thinking about the processes, about what we're using. Generally as a company, we are very aware about sustainability and also what serious problem is the pollution, and we're trying to recycle every single item, or even like when we organizing deliveries to customers, it has to be everything step by step to make sure there's a less emission, gas emission during the delivery. anyway. Yeah, I mean, I'm also myself as an artist and a textile designer, whatever I'm using like recycled materials, for example, to produce my textile and my art. Yeah, very highly aware about it.
Do you have a say in like which packaging do they use in the showroom, and like you can make sure that everything is properly recycled at the end of the day, whether it's like boxes?
So that's what we do, like that's what we do, as well as when we're using packaging, we reuse this packaging. You don't have to really use a brand new packaging to pack up our furniture. Packaging is quite important. As I said, if it's not recycled, again, it is actually put to like a separate bins and etc. To make sure it will be fully recycled again for different purposes. Cardboard, same situation. Separate bins, separate. Yes, everything is separated beautifully. Yeah.
How about you, Julianne? Because you're doing marketing, so how does sustainability, how do you tie it into your work?
So recently with the COVID-19 outbreak, so one of the trends that WGSN forecasted was sustainability is going to be a big thing, but they've shifted their thinking into becoming more change forecasters rather than trend forecasters, because trends can be so fleeting and there needs to be a real focus on creating designs that are more sustainable. So with my role, because I have a marketing role, usually we have loads of events that are planned for the whole year. So initially I had to help organize and plan all these events, but because of what's going on now, we can't leave our homes. We've really had to take a step back and think about how can we host these events in a different way, and in turn it's made them more sustainable. So instead of hosting these big sort of presentations and talks where 40 people attend and we have members of our team fly out to different cities across the world, everything is online now. So I've helped start up a webinar program that we do where we have hosts that talk through like our future reports. So that's really an interesting way of how we've managed to make events more sustainable, and it's probably going to be like that for the future. It's just really interesting how we've had all the trends that were sort of forecasted have been accelerated because of the coronavirus outbreak. But I think it's really beneficial because we've had to respond so quickly and we're all learning to work in different ways. So I'm really grateful that we've been able to make these changes as quick as we can. Like, it's all a learning process, but eventually I think we'll all start to work together in a similar way. So yeah, that's how I explore sustainability in a sort of like marketing role.
Do you think, well, because of this pandemic, like maybe WGSN, do you think they will like maintain this kind of way of like sustaining the events in the future? If they've seen it's more sustainable now, do you think, is there any conversation that perhaps even when the pandemic is over and everything goes back to normal, that maybe these events could still go on this way?
I think so, because if these events, so far they've been really successful. So the webinars that I'm talking about, they're for clients and subscribers, but hopefully we're looking at making ones for prospects as well, so that are more open for everyone. But I think that because they have been so successful now, there's no reason why we shouldn't continue to do them in this way. I mean, events are still important, but we should really reserve them for sort of places that we really need to be.
Yeah. I'll just like quickly answer the question myself based on my current role. So I'm working for a weaving manufacturer in India, and to be honest, I don't feel I've had the freedom, like enough freedom to explore sustainability. Obviously we get, like, as designers, we still get to decide which materials we use, and like me and my colleague, we've been pushing for like natural fibers, because not only because it's good for the environment, but customers have been demanding for better materials as well. But I feel there's still a lot to come from the West, and like from Western consumers, because a lot of consumers ask for like natural look. I don't know if consumers are aware that something might look natural, but it's not natural. And this is something I've experienced a little bit in my 6 months work, is that, yeah, everyone wants something that looks natural, but they don't want to pay the price for it. So to be honest, I don't feel I've had enough freedom to push sustainability for now. But I think that's a struggle many companies are like facing, right? Like in the last years, everyone wanting natural, but they don't want to pay for it. I'll just take a question from the chat before going back to my own questions. What is the name of the webinar that Julianne is talking about? That's from Tash.
Oh, so the webinar series I was talking about, they're for WGSN subscribers only, but we're working for ones for prospects as well. So if I find out anything about that, I'll try and share that with you.
And there's another question. What are alternatives to studying design to get a job in sustainability? I don't know if I'm getting the question right. Like other courses that people could be studying to get a job in sustainability? Is that what the question means? Who's the user at sustainably? Do you have do any of you have any freelance experience? And if yes, how do you approach this as a recent graduate? And how does your sustainable background influence this? I think MJ, you might be the only one who has some freelance experience till now. I mean, the three of us.
I mean, yeah, so in terms of as more like collaborations and more like projects / collaborations, but when speaking about I'm like in terms of freelance work, I had some, but not necessarily that big, because after when I went to do my 3 months intern in Italy, when I came back, I was approached by one of the agency to produce some textile for them. So I was doing like for a while like my design. There was mostly based on a print design, but they weren't necessarily successful. So from this perspective, I'm not really sure if I would be a good example actually to to give you that. But when speaking about collaborations and projects, I mean, while being in Premier Vision, I'm like let's be honest, I'm just lost a little bit. When I was on the Premier Vision, I was approached from one of the companies producing very amazing sustainable textile in India. It's a company called Lehvalle. It's a very little company supporting local community in Leh. This is in Himalayas, to help them to develop woven textiles. Because in my range, I had also woven textiles in my graduate collection. This is why I was able to do it. So I ended up doing like such a beautiful project in India. And yeah, I was just like producing nice, totally sustainable, natural. I will come back to you, Christina, when you said about everyone wants natural, but not necessarily pay a lot. And and not being natural. But this company is totally natural, naturally sourced wool, naturally dye wool, naturally traditionally woven. So this is my kind of experience in terms of collaborating slash project, or maybe slash freelancing for a company. I'm still collaborating with them, still doing textile for them. So so yeah, I would say that's the only one experience I had. Yeah.
So yeah, the question was, yeah, any alternatives way to studying design for like sustainability? Cassandra just posted an online course she just started. And yeah, someone mentioned the MSc and Harold Watt in sustainability and ethics in fashion. But also like there's the website EDX where you can find micromasters or just like short courses in sustainability, circular design. There's one from UAL as well. I think it's sustainability in luxury fashion, something like that. But yeah, like in this pandemic when we're all sitting at home, there's actually a lot of online courses for not a lot of money. And sometimes they're free, but then if you want a certificate for it, then you can pay about like £40, I think. So they're worth looking at. So we'll just take another question. What were your expectations that you had as a young graduate about sustainable practices versus the reality that you've seen so far in the industry, like depending on the role you have right now? Julianne?
I think like initially when I started my internship at WGSN, I was a bit wary because, you know, it's a trend forecaster, trends can be fleeting, like how do they talk about sustainability? But actually I've been pleasantly surprised, and I've learned so much because sustainability is actually at the core of what they do. And they have a lot of reports and experts that talk about this, and they really want to make it sort of the focus of what designers need to be doing right now. So there really has been a push for it. So I think, like in my experience, I've always been a bit skeptical because obviously, you know, when you're studying at uni and you're trying to make a difference, but you don't know if things are actually getting done in the huge industry, to see that there are people who are actively researching this and creating these reports and content for designers is really reassuring. So that's been my experience with sustainability, so with such a big company. So yeah, I'm quite pleased about that I can see that's happening.
Yeah. How about you, MJ, as your role as the creative showroom manager? Did you have any expectations about how this job would connect with sustainability, and like what's the reality versus expectations that you had from before?
I mean, there was always a big thoughts how I'm going to able actually to talk sustainability in the company I started work with, but it seems to look like actually sustainability came to me because a company is really into sustainability, and everything what I wanted actually to implement, such exactly like reducing number of samples sent to customers, or reducing number of number of waste we're doing, like reuse packaging and etc. That was very, very, very. I could actually do it. So I had actually open plan to do it, and I didn't have to be very scared to actually even talk about it. I mean, because this is a small company, probably it's easier for us to look after all of those things. Bigger companies, they may have a little bit more problems because, you know, more people, more opinions and yeah. So I'm like, I had very high expectation with every single company I was working for, and I was always selecting a place when I wanted to work and make sure they similarly sharing my values, my sustainability values. So I guess this is why I always actually was lucky, because even when I mentioned before the company I was collaborating with in India, I'm still collaborating with them, by the way, because we are at the moment on the process to launch new winter collection. And there was just like rain from the heaven with give me the opportunity actually to look after creative part of this company as well, because I knew it that they are such there's nothing only sustainability in there, starting from exactly from producing, sourcing, and the people value, because people value is always for me very, very important, like how we value our workers, how we value our community. And I must say actually, yeah, I'm always having high expectation, but I'm always carefully wanting to pick a place or person I'm going to work or collaborate with who share similar values in terms of sustainability.
Yeah. I'll just quickly share something I learned from my company a few months ago. So because the trends are going towards more like natural materials, so we had the conversation about using recycled yarns for our weaves. And yeah, everything was put together. We wanted to launch it for April. And then we realized that the recycled yarns can't be used in the warp. So I can see Heather just like, yeah, weavers might understand it a bit more, because the industrial looms we have right now, they're not built for like this type of yarn. And so like the director and other people were just discussing, but we still need to have some samples for recycled yarns. So they said we would still use a regular yarn in the warp, which is the vertical yarns, and then have the recycled in the weft. But I just remember I was at the meeting, I was like, that's not the point. Like, we're just losing the point if we're gonna have it 50% of polyester with 50% recycled cotton or something. But I think it kind of highlights bigger problems in sustainability in fashion, that maybe it calls out for more collaboration between engineers or product designers, because even if like textile designers, we want to have like more natural products, then maybe the technology is not there yet. So that's a new realization I've had a few months ago about, yeah, the challenges of sustainability. We have a question. To what extent was sustainability taught in each of your courses? Do you think there should have been more of a focus on it, or different perspectives? That is a really good question. And some people here are part of the Riyadh Society, or were when we were still students. There's Cassandra, Emma, Liz, and myself, and we were working with John Thorne. So it's been in the conversation at GSA at least for the last maybe 2 to 3 years. But whether we were taught sustainability, I wouldn't say yes. We had some, like in our final year, we had some new point in our grades that was something about responsible design, but it wasn't really taken, I don't think it was taken seriously. I don't think we were taught enough to be graded on sustainability, because if the school's gonna grade us on that, then they also need to teach us about it. So this was the only thing that at least I've had from my course. I don't know if MJ and Gillian want to comment on that.
I mean, if I can say something on the back of that, because being in the school, being a student, we had a lot of freedom to design, and the way we were designing, there was our kind of responsibilities, and the way you approach your design, that was probably more important. they give us one project to do based on a exactly sustainable approach to your design. But you know what? You could do every single project the way you wanted. You could, because you had the freedom to create, you could exactly follow your instincts, follow your guts, follow your your ethos, your morals, how you want to design. So even though it wasn't that much talk about, you know, they will give us like a direction to create. I would say we still, as a designers, have this responsibility, even being in a university, to do more, to actually create or like open our minds for sustainability. So this is for my perspective, my experience from GSA. Yeah.
Do you think the school has a responsibility to provide the learning materials and experts to teach us?
I wouldn't say, you know what, this is a school responsibility. They can give us they can give us direction, but responsibility is ours, because your thinking, your thoughts is actually what you're going to do. And school, it helps you to develop, because if you, for example, are into something, they will help you to develop. And I really believe, like, if you're really into sustainability and creating something which is beautiful, natural, and it has absolutely amazing footprint, they will allow you to do it. They will push you through it to do it. But I think this is in your power. Your power is in your hand, I would say. Yeah.
What about you, Gillian?
Well, I think I agree that like unis should have responsibility in teaching students more sustainable practices. It should be a part of the curriculum, especially with everything that's going on today. Like we are designers, like we should be creating things that can make a difference and can help, and that's not contributing to sort of to how the industry works now. So I think that schools do have a responsibility to teach that, and they should be doing more, because obviously as individuals we all have our own beliefs and about sustainability and how we practice, but I think there should be they should basically be more accountable for what they include in the curriculum. So that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, agreed as well. Maybe perhaps after the COVID-19, the school will, like, I mean, it's a big thing that happened, and we can't go back to like normal teaching, normal learning. So for those who are still at GSA, well, maybe it's your turn to like bring it to the department. I know the Kieran's like, oh, yeah, you still need to graduate. So yeah, but I think as students, we still need to demand for things sometimes, because I know amazing staff at GSA who do want to bring better teaching and new alternatives way of teaching, but I think the change comes like bottom up. So yeah, we need to keep pushing for this. We've had a few comments. Heather said, could that be remedied by some research in twisting and spinning methods about the warp issue? Definitely. And there's another company I worked for 2 years ago that had the same problem, because they couldn't do the same designs with organic cotton that they were doing with conventional cotton. So I think that really calls out for like engineer students to work with textile students. Maybe this is how we should move forward as a new society, like more collaboration. Emalia, they're still highlighting the responsible design this year, but we were not taught anything to back it up with. They do ask it all throughout the year and highlight that it's important, but they need to provide information and teaching, I think. Absolutely agree. So many comments, good comments there. Problem is when those that are in authority don't actually care about sustainability. You need someone to implement and provide education on sustainability who actually cares. the school needs to hire people to provide this if there's not the knowledge within the staff body, rather than half-heartedly try to provide it themselves. Absolutely agree. Yeah. I don't know if anyone has any opinion about maybe this pandemic will accelerate this change at GSA. I feel like most people here are from GSA.
Well, you know what? Let's hope for it, because you know, every situation like this, every crisis, including pandemic, it will teach us something. It will teach us a lot. It will teach us exactly how to approach certain things. And well, education is not always you know, 100% right. And maybe afterwards, like every single type of the businesses, including education, will learn, you know, what can we do? How can we approach this? And because we have a limited time, I mean, I like that someone said that maybe we should employ the people. Maybe we should employ the people who will be exactly responsible and talk about sustainability, because you know, as much we talk, you know, if we talk, we always reach the people. And you know, this whole crisis, when we start talking, when we will say, listen, we have to do something. This is our responsibility. This is your, mine. Let's do something with that. And I'm sure we'll eventually find an agreement. And pandemic or crisis like this, it's just the best lesson for us, the best lesson for everyone.
Yeah. I don't know if, John, you want to unmute and maybe comment about this, whether GSA has any future plans or...
Got on for hours to stop me. I think it should be a golden thread going through everyone's work. And I've spoken to students across the sector, not just GSA, who get almost laughed at by tutors sometimes, that want to look at where the materials come from, or more than just what a building looks like. When I speak to architects, it's all about the aesthetic, about, doesn't matter engineering wise if it stands up or if it's made from ground up way bone, as long as it looks good. And I think that goes for fashion as well, that a lot of tutors like me were taught in a time before environment. I went to school without, you know, any environmental teaching at all. It was great. It was guilt-free. You know, you just live life. That's the 80s. So a lot of tutors grew up with that, and so they haven't got the background. But what GSA is doing, it's starting to bring in some people who
John.
Knowledge.
John.
For the first time, I'm working with staff on CPD, so they actually get trained, have training on this. So it's really difficult
John,
with many part-time staff to bring them in, because you have to pay them to be on site. So it's actually really difficult to get some tutors in for professional development training. So the first time heads of school are really looking at training staff up on this, so we'll get them all up to the same level of awareness, and we'll tell them how to then go back into their studios and use that knowledge. So it's not about me. I fill the gap going in sometimes and talking to students and working with students, but it's up to fashion design tutors, architecture tutors, and all the rest of them to actually go in and apply it to their own discipline. And one of the problems we've got is that I'm the only person with sustainability in my job title out of 350 staff. So they all need to put it into their job descriptions and teach it through their own discipline, so apply it. So we need to raise that level of knowledge and awareness, and it's just starting. Actually, it's saying it's, I can see it about to take off. Yeah.
Yeah, I was breaking up a little bit, but I kind of got a part of it only.
Can you hear me okay?
No.
No, I was all right. Yeah, I could hear it.
I could hear about half of it.
Yeah, it's about the staff and the department.
Sorry, well, breaking up.
Yeah.
I think it's island Wi-Fi.
Yeah. Do you think, in a way, like the department
Is
themselves?
that any better? Can you hear me now?
A bit better, yeah.
Sorry if I'm breaking up.
I think it's better now.
Is that any better? Can you hear me?
Breaking again. Sorry. Do you mind typing what you were trying to say?
I really want to hear what you're saying as well.
Yeah, it sounded very interesting. Oh, that's a lot to type. Okay.
Maybe he could record it later on a little bit and just add on, because I guess we can always.
I'm going to give up. Sorry, Christina. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Yeah, I was but I kind of got
Sorry about that. Do you want to try again?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Someone who sent a comment, the problem is also with the atmosphere around sustainability. I work for a shoe company. The marketing team is really scared to advertise sustainable.
Can you hear me any better now?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Okay. Hello?
So have you got any questions for me as far as the GSA goes?
Yeah, just what you were saying before. Oh, no. Very confused about what's happening now, sorry.
Maybe she could.
Yeah, sorry about the quality.
I think it's typing. Should we type questions for John so we can find? Yeah, Kieran, you can fire your questions if you have any questions.
Can you hear me now, Christina?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Okay, so training started.
Yeah.
Are they temporary staff or are they permanent staff?
Hello.
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 How are you?
Well, seems like there's some change at least with the staff.
Yeah, but if I can add something, because I've seen some comments, obviously change comes from all of us. I'm like everyone, we have to demand as a student, but also obviously staff, they have to be willing to push this a little bit more. So I think changes everywhere, changes in all of us. So
Yeah.
so yeah, so like if we will push it, but they have to accept it as well. I mean, as far as I remember, we were pushing every time if we wanted to do something something differently. So so yeah, I'm like changes make us better, and only we can help. We as a whole, not only us as a students, but all like staff and students, like to make this all totally differently better. So so I totally agreed. Yeah.
Yeah, it has to come from everyone. It's a shame because so many students I know that felt the pressure that it was their responsibility to ask for it, but it shouldn't be the stress of anyone being a final year student and also have the stress of asking for this and that from the school.
Yeah,
Yeah, and there's
you go ahead.
Go on. No, go ahead. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, like, when we even tried to offer training to staff, like staff were really resistant to even showing up to things, you know, like we got funding and brought in someone to offer training in like zero waste fashion while I was a master's student there, and it was really difficult to get staff to actually show up to it, like, because I mean, even, you know, Jimmy sent an email saying, can you please attend this, but still people just don't show up because they're not interested, and it's just this lack of interest that's, you know, if they're not made to do it, then, you know, if it's optional, I think a lot of people just aren't interested and don't show up to these things. So it's difficult. I think the systems within, you know, these educational systems, the way that they're run, they're just not, you know, structured properly, I think.
Yeah. John made a really good comment. If it's not sustainable that we're teaching, like, do we teach unsustainable fashion? There was a good lecture at GS a few years ago saying that design was about problem solving, but obviously, like, there's so many problems that we've seen in society, but if we don't teach the right design, then yeah, what is good and bad design? Kieran?
We start from a small steps, and I think you know, step by step and change will come, and this is what we can hope for only. every single of us will add a little bit to it, and we will do it. Eventually, like learn how to sustainably design, how to use recycled products, for example. Someone mentioned about what we're going to teach, like a sustainable and unsustainable fashion. I mean, we have to teach everything because it's really important to gain as much as information possible, because only from information, from research, we can actually with those kind of information we can do something. We can actually move forward, and either this is like obviously whatever approach you will take, I think we'll still learn something from it, and we can implement that. So yeah.
John asked a really good question. Should we even be buying cheap clothes at all? Should fast fashion be banned? I remember Julianne and myself had a conversation about like, what's our job anymore? if like jobs that we can have would be to sustain the system. So what's our new role as new designers, new graduates? Like, what's our responsibility, and how do we move forward from this?
I'm curious to know, I mean, this isn't really responding necessarily to your question, Christina, but I'm curious to know what kind of, because obviously when we were students, we put so much effort into trying to get the school to listen and to provide education for students, and like what is existing now from what work we did, like I know, for example, Christina and I were talking to Barbara, can't remember her surname, she's head of the school design, about implementing some of this stuff into the curriculum, like when we were leaving. And I'm curious to know, John, if like anything has been implemented that is actually causing change or causing students to have to listen, or do you think that it's still generally just kind of being written off and staff saying, oh, now we've got it, we can kind of forget about it, it's there, we've answered their concerns, Yeah.
Just wonder how, I think the biggest question is like, okay, most of us are graduates and others are soon to be graduates. How do we move forward in the industry? Whether we got like the right education or not, whether we did not, maybe, but like, how do we bring what we learned and also like bring new things to the roles? I don't know if Julianne, you have something to say, like from WGSN, because you were saying before that they've seen that, it's change forecast, is it? Or I forgot the term that you used before.
Yeah, so they want to change from being trend forecasters to more change forecasters. I think it's really interesting because as you were talking about sustainability and how that is affecting fashion at the moment, there are a lot of things that I've been like reading at work about how designers are responding to it, and it's really reassuring that there is a lot that is being done right now, and I think people are starting to pay attention more so than ever at the moment, because everything has really slowed down or even stopped. So it's designers and companies taking responsibility for what they're producing, but also us as consumers as well, being aware of where we're spending our money. Like we really need to know where our clothing comes from, where what we buy is made. And I think that's something that we have to be responsible for within ourselves. But of course, change needs to happen from above as well. But it's, I want to sort of be more positive and say that things are definitely changing, and I can see that. But with the fashion industry at the moment, there has been a lot of panic because people are like, what is my role now? Like, how do I move forward? So a lot of the focus at the moment at WGSN has been trying to look at how designers are supposed to tackle these issues. And they have to change the way that they position themselves and their brands and what they're actually trying to provide for people. It's about creating things that are better, and we have to stop in creating more and more and more and more. So I think being able to see that that is happening, although not on a huge scale, really shows that we can do this. Like, we do have power to change things. It's just going to take some time, but I think it's going to be further accelerated by everything that's going on at the moment.
Yeah, Amalia said something interesting about, yeah, like we need to learn about all the steps involved, the forming of materials, transport, design, production, retail, waste and plastic, through the various processes, laundry and use, discard to landfills. I mean, the list is endless. Thanks, Amalia, for taking your time to write that. Yeah, that's something I was shocked at GSA. We never really learned where the materials we were using came from. I thought we would, but it was something not addressed. There's a big debate here about GSA, so I'm just gonna read a bit.
I mean, yeah, John, he pointed something that it's not only about GSA, it's about all unis, and that's totally right, because you know, obviously we are talking from the GSA perspective right now, but responsibility is everywhere, guys. Responsibility is starts from very beginning, from a very primary education. And you know, when we're educating from a small age, that change eventually will come, what Julianne is talking about, because when we are educated from very little age, we can implement those changes. We can implement those changes in every single area. That will be our area in technology, it will be in delivery, in textile and fashion, manufacturing, etc. Because when we learn, we can implement this. So that's the thing. So obviously from GSA perspective, we as designers are responsible to do this, and we need help. We need a uni help. We need obviously our teachers' help. So all of us, we are willing. We have to be. We really want to learn this, and really want to implement this as well.
Heather and Amalia, feel free to unmute your mic if you want to say something.
Oh, don't ask me to unmute. Don't get me started. I'll keep going forever.
Did you feel that GSA somehow changed, like in your final year, compared to like our generation?
I think so, definitely. I think especially with Kat, when she came home from exchange from Japan and really kind of started, and Cassandra is a big part of that as well, I feel. I think at least GSA tried to be more sustainable, and I think still it's getting better and better, and students keep pushing for it. So now one of the things they've changed is that the sustainable, or they call it a responsible design kind of consideration, that introductions that happens in the beginning of the year, where students are then presented from Jimmy, who's the head of department, where he presents different alternatives. He presents past students' works approach to this. So I think both, Christina, I think yours was mentioned, and there was a big PowerPoint up on the screen, and I thought that was really helpful in what solutions might look like. But in my opinion, I still think there needs to be training in how we can get to that point, because it's all fine and well showing the final solutions and saying, oh, this is sustainable design. But I think the key is really helping students to get to that point, and to help students and empower them to take responsibility in their own learning to get to that point themselves. So kind of a mix of everything that has already been said.
Yeah, I do feel technicians support us a lot, because you were saying you've had a lot of support from technicians. Like at least in my experience, my technicians and my tutor were really good, and really like encouraging me to go in like how I wanted to have my collection to go. But I still feel there should be a higher responsibility, like above tutors and technicians.
I think it's really frustrating because we have very little say on what kind of goes into it, goes into the programme. And at the moment, they do seem to be making steps, but they're like confused. It's like a couple of steps forward and then one back. They're not quite, not everyone is speaking to one another. And I think that that's part of the issue, is communication, collaboration, and making sure that like every department seems to have its own agenda and its own timescales and timetables, which seem to be getting in the way of that working smoothly. And I don't know what the solution is. I know they're trying. I know that it's not probably working very well at the moment. And I don't think, I mean, there has been small changes, but not the big change that we need in terms of kind of attitudes, I think. But sorry, thoughts. I think what everyone's saying though is true. And hopefully this will push for change, I think, as much as this is a bit frustrating and a bit of a scary time. Hopefully some positives can come out of it. I think the world's going to need to accept that we can't go on like this anyway. People are going to need to look at their consumer habits. And also the people in these countries that are making our clothes, and not just our clothes but everything, are bearing the brunt of it. As you said, Christina, they are bearing the brunt of this virus because they are already in poverty, and so that's bringing that into sharp relief. And I think, I don't know, these countries cannot go on like that, sacrificing their people for what our habits really. So I think there's going to need to be a huge change in how I think it's going to be the next big issue, basically, that we have to address.
I'll just mention a campaign that's on right now. It's the Pay Up campaign. So a lot of brands like H&M, Zara, well, now they signed the campaign, but before the campaign, like, they decided not to pay for their cancelled orders. And a lot of manufacturing companies in Bangladesh, India, Vietnam, they've been suffering a lot because they usually have to manufacture the order and then they get paid like 2 months or 3 months later after it's been shipped. So because these brands didn't pay their orders and canceled them, so a lot of the workers were just had to be sent home without any pay. And in this lockdown, it's even worse for countries without a good infrastructure, and the government can't really support these workers. So the Pay Up campaign is to pressure the brands to commit to their orders, because one order might be worth like 2 or 5 million pounds. So it's a big problem here. Even my company, they've had a lot of cancelled orders. I don't really know about my job for the next coming months, but I can share the link here if you want. Oh, Julianne just sent it. Yeah, thanks, Julianne. So you can also like sign up, and H&M, Zara, I think agreed that they would pay for their orders, although they're like high, like fast fashion brands, but at least they're trying to show an example to other brands to follow. So yeah, it's in the chat Julianne sent. Yeah, please sign up the campaign. Yeah, and if there's no question, maybe we could just wrap up the Q&A. Or if there's any extra comment from anyone, or just any last question. That's fine, John. Enjoy your island. Okay, well, thank you all for attending this online event today. I think we always end up these events with like, GSA. But for all the graduates who still need to finish their course, I don't know what to say. Like, you'll be great, talented, amazing people. And I don't know how long this lockdown will last for, but I know like everyone will be okay. It might take a while, but it'll be fine. Oh, Emma, go for it, Emma. What qualities, values would you advise a graduate to include on their CV, portfolio, LinkedIn to convey an interest in sustainable practice for potential employers? What would an employer with a value and sustainability look for in a potential employee? Don't know if Julianne or MJ want to take that question? Or anyone else who already has a job?
I mean, part about sustainability is always in my CV. There is like a specific dedicated part about me, about what I'm doing, and how I want, like how my life generally look like. So don't be scared to put anything. I know for some of the companies that totally doesn't matter what you're going to put about sustainability, etc. Because not everyone following that, but be truthful with yourself and exactly say it if you want to say it about your sustainable approach to design, to your life, to anything. I mean, like all those informations are new for every single employer right now. They saying they are into sustainability always, but it's always good to remind them as well. So it is important to add. It was always important for me to add. So do how you feel. And also, obviously, when you're applying for the jobs, you are applying directly to a company. You are applying to a company you research already, so you know their approach. If you, I would say, if you want to be fabulous, if you want to show exactly who you are, just say it. Anything what you want to say, and don't be scared about it. If you think there's no point to say it in your CV, to, let's say you're applying to one for a company is not necessarily involved in a sustainability, don't say it, or just say it because you know, doesn't cost you anything, but you feel much better. This is what I always do.
Yeah, I think, I don't know if those who have workshops with Leslie Black, she always says like the first line when you introduce yourself, I think it's always good to mention. But I feel the word sustainability is used so many times now. It's a bit like, I don't know, greenwashing, but I think there's so many other words like circular design that you also, it's to show that you know your like technical terms of like circular economy and all of that. So like use strong pinpoint words on your CV. And I think someone who really cares about sustainability, when they like print their CVs and business cards, it will like everything would follow. Because I remember with Cassandra, we were talking about like which kind of paper to use for portfolio or like CVs or business cards. So I think these tiny details will matter to any employer, because if they see your portfolio on recycled paper, it's stating the obvious in a way, and you're being very genuine about what you want to say. It's not only the words, but it's through your design, it's through your brand identity, etc.
I think it would be great, John, as a suggestion, to maybe create like something through GSA Sustainability of alumni that have experience in certain areas, because I just got a job, a freelance job through the GSA Sustainability website. Someone found my work, and for Zero Waste Scotland to do some patchwork, what are they called? Like, you know, the vinyl things that kind of stretch out. What are they called? I can't think of the name of it. Anyways, yeah, it was hard to do some patchwork, and that was
it's like a banners.
Say that again?
Like a banners or something.
A banner, yeah, like I can't remember the name of it, but it's like a big banner that kind of stretches up, and usually they're made from vinyl, and because of COVID, they have time to start sourcing some more sustainable ways of producing these sort of things. So anyways, she found me through GSA Sustainability, and I think it would be great to have like alumni, just a list of alumni with different experiences, so people, because I think, I mean, particularly for Scotland, GSA is known very well, or I mean, it's known across the world, but in the UK as well. You know, if someone in Scotland wants to hire someone local, then it's very possible that they'll be looking at GSA. So I don't know, I think it's a great idea to everyone have a link to their portfolio, or at least a profile with a bit of your experience, and then we can maybe provide people with more freelance work or jobs or opportunities this way. Everyone's trying to help me. I'll roll up.
I'll be the COVID-19 project.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember what's
Okay, so we'll just wrap up now. Thanks again, everyone. Thanks, Julianne and MJ, being part of this panel, and everyone who obviously attended the event. It was really good to catch up and see some familiar faces. I see Elsie, she's in Singapore. Hi, Elsie, don't know if you can hear me.
Hi, Elsie. There's one more thing someone asked, but I can't type it down, Christina. Someone asked me the company in India I was collaborating with. The company, it's called Lehvalle, and if you go to my Instagram, there are like numbers of photos exactly from the company, so you can directly, if you want, you can directly contact with them as well, or you can have a look at their profile as well.
Okay, thanks, MJ. Okay, bye. Stay safe, everyone.
Bye. Take care. Bye.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone. Take care.